Hello and welcome. I'm Adri Gregan, and I'm back for more Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2. Today we're moving on to Episode 2, and last time we had a bit of a non sequitur. We suddenly jumped into a different flashback, having finished JJK 0, sorry, with a slightly earlier flashback. We're now moving further into the past and exploring Gojo and Geto's backstory, which is interesting. It's not a complete non sequitur, I must admit, because JJK 0 was largely built around them. And of course, Geto was the main attraction, if you would, of it, other than Yuta himself. So, having been teased their relationship in the movie, it makes sense that we're exploring it more in depth now. My only reservation is that it's strange that we haven't really seen Yuji or any of our gang in between them at all. It's just completely into here. The closest thing we have to a connection to the main story is, or rather a direct connection, is the start of the opening, where it seems like modern day Gojo is closing his eyes and drifting off into his memories. But we haven't actually had that in the show proper, which is a little bit odd. Maybe we'll get that here. Maybe we just won't. As far as I can tell, and if memory serves, JJK Zero isn't really like supposed to be there in the manga necessarily. It's kind of something that Mappa included here in this place. So to be fair, it seems like it's more the anime that's doing this sequence, not the actual original story itself. So I can't really knock the manga for that necessarily. But we'll see how it goes. Meta narratives aside, the actual episode itself and the story itself seems really interesting. I'm really engaged in it. We got introduced to what is apparently a trio, actually. It's not just Geto and Gojo, but there's also Iaidi, I believe her name was, who's a very laid back sorcerer, first year sorcerer, like the other two, who occasionally becomes a cardboard box when when Utahime comes up and stands her, I guess. It's quite interesting. There's a lot of funny antics, especially the visual gags. I don't know if I should expect that moving forward for the rest of the season, or even for the next couple episodes, but at least in the first episode for the pilot, it was stunning. I was absolutely in love. There were so many interesting shots. They were playing around with like everything imaginable that you could possibly conceive of. They tried it and they played around with it. My favorite cut has to be Geto just kind of like wiggling his way onto the screen uh, while Utahime embraces her EAED cardboard cutout, and just antics ensue. It was a lot of fun. But antics weren't the only thing we got in that episode, because we introduced what seems to be the main storyline of this flashback arc, as it seems to be, uh, which is really exploring the. I was going to say Tengen himself, but not really exploring him, but more exploring the consequences of the world that is, well, centered around him, for lack of a better word, lack of a better descriptor, I should say. Because it seems like there are different factions outside of our Jujutsu tech. There's the Curse User Group Q, group of sorcerers who, thanks to the comments, I've learned that a Curse User is not someone like Geto who uses Curse Spirits, but just somebody who is a sorcerer and is not really part of the established world. As we've seen quite a bit, the elders aren't very they're not very welcoming or inclusive of people who are not a part of their gang. So they're described as curse users, a much more nasty term than external sorcerers or whatever. But regardless, that seems to be the Group Q is just a gathering of sorcerers who are trying to they're trying to basically stop Tengen from absorbing, assimilating, fusing with a girl who has been designated the Star Plasma Vessel, and will basically keep Tengen from ascending into a higher life form and stop being himself. That'll throw the whole world into chaos. So we're really, really on the side of sacrificing this little girl for the sake of stability. Yeah, there's plenty. There's plenty already just on that we could talk about, and maybe I'll do that as the story goes on. I won't babble on too much during this prelude, but I'll have plenty of time to talk about that as the story develops. The other group that we're vying for, the Star Plasma Vessel, is the Star Religious Group. It appears that they are not sorcerers, so they're not really seen as a threat, but I imagine mainly it'll be like their funding that'll really cause them to be a thorn in our side, especially since it seems that Q and the Star Religious Group are working together possibly in order to eliminate the star plasma vessel. God, there's so many proper nouns here. It's hard to keep track of them all, especially with the overlapping that they have. But it seems like they're working together possibly. And another person that's working with them, and thus our enemy, is the person who I can only assume is Fushigudo's dad. I guess Mr. Fushigudo, the former member of the Zane clan. So we've already got all these groups jockeying for power, some of them teaming up. We're going to have to fight against them. We're going to see how our characters got from point A to point B. Geto in particular is the most interesting to me because he did a complete 180. Right now in Season 2, he believes that the strong are supposed to protect the weak. However, that is completely flipped around now to the strong are the chosen ones. So I'm curious to see how that gap will be bridged. And I imagine we'll see it being bridged. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm really looking forward to building more context for when we finally get back into the main story, I suppose, whenever that will be. But I've babbled on long enough. Let's just hop right into the episode. If you are new here, I do full reactions. I don't edit them down. However, on YouTube, the visuals will be altered for copyright. The unaltered version is in the description. However, the episode breakdown discussion will only be on YouTube. So if you click that link, make sure you come back here to hear my thoughts. If you do like it, please do like the video. Do subscribe if you enjoy this content. Spoiler, I'll be making more of it because it's my content. And leave a comment if there's something that interests you. I'd love to engage in discourse with you. But having gotten all that out of the way, all that housekeeping done, let's just hop straight into Jujutsu Kaisen Season 2, Episode 2. Kettle and some blowing wind. Is this perhaps our star vessel before the incident, or is this one of our sorcerers? Or is this Fushigudo? Mr. Fushigudo, I suppose I should say until I know his name. No, it is Geto. Is this after? Tell me we just skipped it. We just skipped it. Awesome. 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 I will retire if you let me out of here. I am done. This is traumatic. What does that have to offer him? Bayer-san. Oh my god. Gojo got to him. Well. Departure of top combatant lead to organization's collapse. Never mind everything I just said. We won. It's just Mr. Fushigudo now, I suppose. And the funding, I suppose, of the Star Religious Group. He is freaking built. And he's got the voice of a champion. Do not remember his name, but I certainly know him. Hey, if I win, that deposit doubles. Yeah. The deposit of people. So this is a very different gamble. Jujutsu Goroshi. Oh my. That stupid son. I sold him already. Tell me he's not forgetting who. Okay. 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 Great characterization. I've got a very clear picture of this kind of person this is already. Wow. Well done. I really love the atmosphere of this opening and the ending too. It's really potent. It is just like overwhelming with nostalgia. Jesus Christ. Man is always on his shredding stage. Back up.
翔子みたいに反転術式を使えたらよかったんだけどね。
いや無理でしょ。あいつも何言ってるかさっぱりだしな。
ヒューッとやってひょいったよ。ヒューひょい。わかんない？センスね。
Yu Hyoi. Got it. Just gotta pull out the powers of manga. Start making noises and let the magic happen. Ooh. That was fun. Am I being assaulted? Self-defense. Alright. Wait, did she just land a blow on Gojo? I think she's the first person in the show to ever do that. How in the world? So it's not open all- is it not on all the time? No hesitation. Of course, neither of them are the type of person who would hold back just because of what she is, who she is.
その言い方はやめてもらえます。呪霊操術。文字通り取り込んだ呪霊を操れるのさ。
思ってたよりアグレッシブなガキンチョだな。どうかでおセンチになってん
And
だろう
capable.
な。どう気を使うか考えてたのに。
いかにも下船なものの考えじゃ。
ああ。
いいか。
Oh, she is very springy.
わらわで、わらわは天元様なのだ。
Oh,
貴
wow.
様のように同化と死を混同している輩がおるが、それは
part of
大
something
きな
greater?
間違いじゃ。同化によりわらわは天元様になるが、天元様もまたわらわとなる。わらわの意志。
Warawa.
魂は
The
同化
way
とも
she's
生き続け。
talking is
待ち受け変えた
so interesting.
あの喋り方だと友達もいないじゃろ。
心よく送り出せるのじゃ。
だって普通に喋ってるもん。
So, why are you...
まだ昼前ですが、やはり学校は
うるさい。行くったら行くのじゃ。
Okay.
はあ
I mean, she can clearly defend herself,
さっ
so...
さと高専戻った方が安全でしょう。
そうしたいのは山々だが、天元様のご命令だ。
I wonder when we're actually gonna
合
meet
わ
him
ないリコの要
ourselves.
望には全て答えようと。
Riko Amanami. I guess that's her name, Riko.
ゆとり極まれりだな。
そう言うな、サトル。ああは言っていたが、同化後彼女は天元様として高専最下層で結界の元となる。
In the deepest
友人、
Oh,
家族、大切な人たちと
interesting.
は
Is that where Tengen
もう
is?
会えなくなるんだ。
次移動教室だよ。
好きにさせよう。それが私たちの任務だ。
Well, she still can.
リコ様にご家族はおりません。幼い頃事故で、それ以来私がお世話してまいりました。ですからせめてご友人とは少しでも。
それじゃあなたが家族だ。
Yeah. Sweet.
すぐる
I thought it was Geto saying it too.
ああ、メイさんみたいに視覚共有ができればいいんだけどね。それでも異常があればすぐに。サトル、急いでリコちゃんのところへ。
あ
2体払われ
Bad
た。
feeling. Oh.
若き次世代のエースは誰なのか、それを占うためにも大切な一戦となります。ようやく
That's very
6艇
useful.
の最終ポジションが固まりました。さあ、注目の第5レース、いよいよスタートです。
Interesting. Girls Academy. Ooh. Interesting. Don't know quite how much money that is, but it's clearly not a small amount. At the very least, 250,000.
あまないわ。
この時間は音楽なので、音楽室か礼拝堂ですね。
礼拝堂？
音楽教師の都合で変わるんです。あとここはミッションスクールです。
サトルは礼拝堂、黒井さんは音楽室、私はアンノーン2人を。
承知いたしました。
ついてくるでない。友達に見られたらどうするのじゃ。
申し訳ありません。
どうするのじゃ。
移動のたびにメールするよう言ったのですが。
だから目の届く範囲で護衛させろっつったのに、あのガキ。
スタートしました。1、2号室2人、インより好スタート。コースが少し遅れた。
なんだあいつら、高専戻んなかったのか。ラッキーだな。
Lucky.
これで賞金に釣られるのがバカからまともなバカになる。
いいのか？
何が？
賞金は万世教からお前に支払われる手付金3000万。青少隊がやられれば手付金はパー。下手したら成功報酬もないぞ。お前に依頼せずとも初めから賞金をという話になるからな。
あっちには五条悟がいるんだぞ。
Yeah, they're not getting
うん
past
百
him.
年ぶりの陸眼と無加減呪術の抱き合わせ。
Six eyes and the limitless technique.
青少隊はまず殺せない。
I wonder if six eyes has something to do with, well, his eyes. Limitless, obviously, the infinity can't touch him. Except for the star plasma vessel. Rico did it.
コーナが怒涛の挽回劇。
Accomplished the
一番手に
impossible.
躍り出た。
さあどうかな。
二度目にして見事差しに成功。
とりあえずバカどもには賞金のかかっている残り47時間。五条の周りの術師と五条本人の神経を削ってもらう。
What a waste of ramen.
おい、ちょっと待て。
Oh, you don't wanna interrupt him.
いや、なんでもない。もちろん青少隊は殺せねえからただ働きだ。
時間制限を設けたのは良かったな。呪詛師の集まりがスムーズだ。
そんだけじゃねえけどな。こっちの話。
おーっと
Disrespect.
3号艇河野がバランスを崩し、2号艇山崎がマックスター。
ぼちぼち俺も向かう。思ってたより展開が早そうだ。3000万しっかり戻せよ。
先頭
I'm gonna need it.
バカ言え。その辺の匿名掲示板じゃねえんだぞ。掲載よ。
電波が悪い。
おい。
I need to mourn. Double down. Come on. Make back what you lost. Ugh.
アンノーンは9の残党か。万世教の差し金なら少し面倒なことになるな。
おお、その
Nice little blur.
光線の制服を見て叩い1を想定。自分の前後を式紙で挟んだ。慣れてるな。
媒介なし。磁力の術師のものと異なる。まさか。
Yeah, because it's not a Shikigami. Yeah.
ご名答。
Because Shikigami are made from the sorcerers that have the same cursed energy.
いや、そう長生きするもんじゃないぞ。生きると生きるだけ金がかかる。術式の格はあちらが上。だが術師の思考は式神使いのそれだ。おまけにその若さ。考えていることが手に取るようにわかるぞ。やはりな、こういうタイプが前に出ることはまずない。 近接戦闘が苦手。そして式神使いであるわしが近づいてくることはまずないと考えておる。近接嫌いが近接を警戒していない。やりやすいことこの上ないな。
なんかいろいろ考えてるみたいだけど意味ないよ。
You've already lost.
の初手の2体はこれを想定させないためか。
さて、あと一人か。
You done? There we go. Don't underestimate him. What? Tell me Geto just sent him to heaven like that.
助けか。
Are these the pearly gates?
出来のいい
Is he
弟
dead?
にばかり金と時間を使い、見えないものが見えるわしを気味悪がった。そのわしにも屈託なく接してくれた唯一の友達。
Beauty
久し
having
ぶり
a dog.
だな。もう50年以上も経つのか。助け、お前が死ん。そうか。
Ooh. Wow.
しょったな。
まあね、あんた
He
ずっと
definitely knows.
近づきたくてうずうずしてたろ。
He definitely
勝
knows
ち方が
his
決まってるや
close
つは
combat.
勝ち筋を作ると簡単に乗ってくる。そんなことよりあんた、9？万世教？
That went about as I expected it to. Whee! Nice. Ah. So he's in there where they're practicing, I imagine. Yeah. There's a hottie.
罪におけぬ。
Smooth operator. Oh. Yep. Ikemen indeed, and he is just absorbing it. He is just living it.
ほら皆さん、静粛に。明日ないですよ。
先生だって聞いて
Gojo
る
is
く
the
せに。
perfect person.
困りますよ。身内とはいえ勝手に入られては。
ああいや、緊急なもんですませ
How
ん
are we gonna
ね。
explain this away, though?
あとこれ、私のテレ番。
Of
到
course.
着の出会いのなさなめんじゃないわよ。
それは私たちだって同じでしょ。
教師が年下趣味とか
You're a teacher. He's a high schooler.
ディスってんの？
I don't know about this one.
バカ者、あれほどみんなの前に顔を出すなと。
Not that I blame them
重
one
装
bit.
士襲来。あとは察しろ。
なんか浮いとる。うわっ
Okay, he's just carrying her.
こ
I
の
was
ま
about
ま
to say, is he about to
交
yeet
戦
the girl? No, he's just
友
taking
達
her
が
away.
巻き込まれんのは嫌だろ
お、あれは3000万か。一緒にいんのは同
Does she
僚
have
か
friends?
ボディーガードってこともあるか。
美味しいよな。術師でもないチューブを殺して3000万。今夜はうなぎかな。人を殺して食う飯はうまいんだ。
万世教の人でしょうか。
Ooh, let's see
旧の
what the
人
maid
た
can
ちは
do.
もっと変な格好をしてますもんね。
ヒーローとかやるなら黙ってやれよ。
Yeah, you don't want to mess with someone who has that look in their eyes. Oh,
お嬢様から
that's game over. I'm sorry, man. Stay down. Just stay down.
なんだ強いじゃ
That's
ない
one
ですか。
way.
リコちゃんは？
五条様と一緒に学校を出ました。
じゃあ私たちも向かいましょ
She
う。
is
少し面倒なことにな
ruthless.
っています。
Clever too, the way she wields that. Compensating for strength with skill.
式神
いや式神とは少し違うサトル
天内の首に3000万の懸賞金
ああ呪詛師御用達の闇サイトで期限付き
There's a
あ
lot
さっ
of
ての午
that.
前11時までだそうだ
What is
なるほど
happening?
ね
They're all copies?
みんな同じ背格好じゃ式神か。
たく呪術師は年中人手不足だっていうのに転職するなら歓迎するよおっさん。
いや職案も楽じゃねえだろ。そのガキ譲ってくれればそれでいい。
増えた5人じゃ。
どこがいいんだよこんなガキ。
Probably fragile. Trade off. You can just close the distance. Wow. That's
式
interesting.
神が消えん。俺が本体じゃん。
式神じゃない分身
That was fun, looking up and then flips over.
本体のな
Upside down. What is the real one? How does that work?
無限アキレスとカメだよ勉強は大事って話本体含めマックス5体の分身術式どれが本体かは常に自由に選択できるんだろ本体
Oh,
が危うくな
interesting.
っ
You
た
can switch over.
安全な分身を本体にするいいもん持ってんじゃんなんでそんな弱いのか意味わからん破壊されたらしばらく分身は出せないのか
Probably leaning too much on his strong technique.
おあいにくさま
Depending on it.
いいもんで俺の術式はさ収束する無限級数みたいなもんで俺に近づくものはどんどん遅くなって結局俺までたどり着くことはなくなるのそれを強化すると無加減マイナスの自然数ってとこかなマイナス1個のリンゴみたいな虚構が生まれるんだそうするとさっきみたいな吸い込む反応が作れるでも意外と不便なんだよねあまり大きな反応は自分の近くには作れないし思考性にまで気を使い出すと重力操作がまあ面倒
Was
で
that was him?
今日は超疲れんの
Also, goes without saying, but the flashbacks in the glasses is incredible.
全部順天
Just the uses of the glasses and all these shots are phenomenal.
頭守って
I had to say something I feel like Iko-san said. Slow change of expression. Yeah, you're a bit out of your league here. Wow.
こっちは無限の発散
Divergence of activity.
術式反転
Reverse.
Okay.
That's red? Red. Woo! Fight, fight. What? Shipai? What do you mean? What do you mean?
なんかできそうと思ったんだけどな
Oh, okay. So it's actually
マ
difficult.
ジでなんだこいつ。
Guess that makes sense. If those techniques are ways he's utilizing his power, then you probably have to be really specific with it in order to achieve the desired effect.
黒いが。
Oh. Even though Gato was with her? No way that was the episode. What? That was the I had to double check. That was the episode? What do you mean that was the episode? Oh my god.
若い声をちゃんと届けようと思って
Awesome, these are the
選挙には必
previews.
ず行くよう
Great.
にしてるんですけど
So I can watch these little bits without really paying attention to what's going on around
ミックス
me.
よね次回開玉
Awesome.
3絶対見るのじゃぞ黒いって結局いくつなの密中あらかわいい
Me too. Oh my god, what do you mean that was the whole episode? What are you talking about? That was half an episode. What? Okay, let's maybe if I go through it, maybe when I do my breakdown, as we go through it, it'll make more sense to me. It'll make more sense. So maybe. That's okay. So we start in the aftermath because obviously it's immediately over. They don't stand a chance against Geto, obviously. They don't stand the slightest bit of a chance. The departure of top combatant by leads to organization's collapse instantly. Like we're building up this this battle between all these different factions. This capture the flag. He's gone. Left to nothing but remnants. And we learned a lot of really interesting characterization about this guy. He's a gambler, a bad gambler, and that applies to how he uses his resources too. He is very reckless in using them, but he's not stupid. He realizes how strong Gojo is, which isn't hard if you know him at all, and he's trying to wear him down. Which is not a bad strategy. I mean, it's really the best thing you can think of doing. In the modern day, I know that Geto's trying to, like, basically capture him, trying to seal him away, which I think is a slightly better idea, but I can't imagine that would be easy. So without having that, then it's a good strategy, all things considered. And whether he's being honest or not, it seems like he's being pretty straightforward. Who's that? To his own son, who he sold to his clan to basically get rid of his debts. It tells you all you need to know about this guy. He's as deadbeat fathers get, pretty much. But he's also insanely ripped, so I don't know if that's relevant, but I feel like I have to mention that. And then she wakes up and we find out she is much more than lively. She lands a blow on Gojo. What? How in the world? And her way of talking is incredible. She really does have that ancient emperor talk of the ware ware ja. All that stuff. She is, wow. I mean, she plays it off really well. She talks amazing, and they're not having any of it because you clearly have no idea who you're dealing with. I'm trying to think if Yuji and Nobara would do something like this. Probably not. Maybe with a little bit of instigation they would. These guys just do not care, though. They will ring you out, and they will not blink twice at it. Bangs guy, come on, there are much worse nicknames. Geto, you don't need to be upset by that one. Absorb and manipulate cursed spirits. And then she immediately kind of shuts down my thought that this would be a thing. And, well, I guess it's not necessarily shutting it down. It's not closing off the potential that we won't be able to talk this later, that this won't be a discussion moving forward of sacrificing one for the greater. I think it will be something that comes back, but she is very much not opposed to it. In fact, she is very much for it. Or at the very least, she's presenting that image, and she seems pretty confident, so I've not much reason to believe that she doesn't believe what she's saying. Whether there are reservations she's not admitting to herself are another matter entirely. However, it does seem at the very least she fully believes that she is privileged to do this, and she's excited to do it, where she can assimilate with Tengen-sama and become one with him. Whether that is, I mean, whether the consent of the individual being sacrificed makes it okay or not is another conversation entirely. I mean, that's another conversation devoid of the whole conversation you could have about whether it's okay to sacrifice one for the many. And yes, it's not lost on me that this is very reminiscent and reflective of the main story of Yuji being sacrificed for the sake of stability, right? For the sake of the threat. And Yuta, again, it's something that's repeating over and over again. So it's very possible it won't be directly addressed, but even so, through the story, I have no doubt that it will be a theme that is explored. And as something that connects all three of these different storylines now that we have with Yuta, Yuji, and Gojo. So, should you sacrifice one for the many? I mean, it's not a blanket statement that can be answered, right? It's simply not. I mean, there are some people who could, like some people who are very, very pro-human life, let's say. Those kinds of people, I'm sure they would absolutely say, no, that's absolutely not. We're not sacrificing anyone. All life is inherently precious, inherently valuable, and no one has the right to say otherwise. Even if it's a sacrifice for the greater good, it's always worth finding another option. There are a lot of people who say that. And you don't necessarily have to be that pro-human life to say that. There are a lot of people who would agree with that. Obviously, on the other hand, there's the net good, right? Maybe the left brains of the world, the statisticians, the mathematicians. It's like, obviously, you want to help as many people as you can, even if you have to sacrifice them. There's also people who just sacrifice their lives, like people who join the military, people who work in public service and give a different sacrifice. They, through their actions, are showing their consent for sacrificing one for the many. You could argue anyone who has a job does that to a degree, or at least the smaller proletariat job, I guess you could say, working class job. Anyone who does that to a degree, other than people who are just doing it to survive, and even to them to a degree, are tacitly consenting to the idea of sacrificing me for the majority. Obviously, that doesn't mean that they agree with that. A lot of people, if they weren't in their situations, would choose not to do that. However, there are people who want to do that. Once again, people who serve. Now, the conversation shifts when it changes from sacrificing your livelihood, like you're working for the sake of the majority, to sacrificing your life. That is a different conversation. For people who serve, it's not entirely different. So obviously, they always had to be ready to go to war, so they could sacrifice their lives. But it's still different. And it gets even more complicated when suddenly you're not sacrificing your life, you're sacrificing someone else's life. That's when things get really bad. Or not bad, but that's when things get really complicated. Really nuanced. Because who are you? Who is anyone to decide that someone's life is less important than the stability of the majority? Who's to say that the royalties' lives are less important than the revolution, right? And all the historical revolutions. Yeah, we killed a few people who are oppressing us for the sake, and we destabilized the world. Who's to say that was right? I mean, we can look at it on the tail end and say, we like the world we're in, but we can't see the alternative, can we? So even we, with hindsight, can't say for certain that that was a good sacrifice. So there's very much arguments that you could say on either side. Which is why it's so interesting that she, at the very least on the surface, and very much seems to believe herself, is not opposed to it at all. So if we do get a dissent towards whether we should sacrifice a life or not, which it seems we're getting a little bit actually from Gojo, perhaps from Geto, it's going to be from them, not from her, which is interesting. Because again, it's flipping away from what I said was the most difficult decision of choosing someone else's life is less valuable. That someone else believes that they are worth the sacrifice. And yet we, looking at her, our main characters, are looking at her and saying, no, that's not worth it. So that's really interesting. And it also offers a lot of characterization, a lot of sentimentality, and a lot of personality to these people, to these two. Which is also something we get, I don't remember where it is. We get it from Geto. Her name is Riko. Oh, it was the family. When she's talking with... Here we go. I've taken care of her ever since, so you're her family. What an unexpectedly kind gesture from Geto. Not that he's unkind or emotionless. We've definitely not seen that. Even when he was splitting off from Gojo, he was clearly emotional. He was clearly not happy about it. And even in the present day, and in the flashback of JJK0, he's clearly not emotionless. He's clearly weighed down. He feels certain ways about the things that he does, things that other people do, his own worldview. So this sentimentality isn't coming out of nowhere, but it's a really interesting characterization that it's hard not to react like this. It's hard not to find it endearing to Geto, which is great because he's going to be one of our protagonists here. So it's really nice to get this really sweet moment of, oh, you've been taking care of her, so then you're family. And yeah, I agree with that. I think most people would agree with that. I mean, we say parents are guardians when, especially like in more formal writing, but I think most of us would consider that family, right? The found family is an idea of just your friends that you're really close to being your family. So a caretaker like that, yeah, definitely family. Not even found, just family, period. So it's a great way to connect with the audience and just really build him out more. And I really appreciate that. Then we have this really big, great moment of these cool, like, little manga panels as he's reacting and his face is changing. And of course, it's all for nothing. You lost the moment that you faced off against Geto. And then this was really unexpected. This guy that we'll never see again had this nice moment. I'm a dog lover, so this especially affected me. Tasuke was my one and only friend who interacted with me without such fear. Because that's what a dog is, right? That's what a pet is. It's a companion that won't judge you and can't feel ways about you that humans can. They can't find you weird or creepy because you're different from humans because it's not a human, so it doesn't see those differences. And it's not just that it's not a human, it's just, it doesn't care. It's a much simpler creature. It just cares that you have a bond, right? And that's the allure of having a dog, of having potentially a cat. I've never had a cat before. I've had parents that have cats. I've had family that have cats, but I've never had one myself directly. Not since I was a very, very small child, but most pets are this similar way. They won't judge you, right? They will love you the same way you love them, unconditionally. And that's what's really sweet. I've got a soft spot for dogs. So yeah, I had to mention that one. And this is really cute. Obviously, the cheapy faces, the reactions. Everyone's down for Gojo, and Gojo is just living it. He is just living it. This is inappropriate. Not in front of the kids. Excuse me. Sensei, that's a high schooler. Cease your shenanigans. And then we meet this strange guy, and we learn of... Well, first of all, we see how the maid fights, which is really cool. She knows she's not physically strong, so she's really precise with her movements and very skilled about using her weapon. Knows exactly where to strike, and how to wield it, how to manipulate it really towards her ends. And she does it really well. She just takes him down. I mean, he's got a bunch of different clones, but... And towards that end, using the... I mentioned it during the reaction, using the glass is brilliant. But towards that end, he mentions it himself. Where is it? That this guy uses his clones, but he also depends on it. He very much depends on it. I don't understand why you're so weak. You've got such a good technique, and yet... Because he depends on it, right? It's because he has a strong technique, so he believes, oh, if I use this technique, I'm basically unbeatable. It's like Gojo, except Gojo's actually really skilled. So that goes for a lot of things, right? If you believe you're really good at something, then there's a tendency, especially to build, as a product of the ego, to want to build up on that and make that and center yourself around that. It doesn't just include fighting. If you're really good at drawing, if you're really good at writing, you want to make that your personality. You want that to be the shining point of your life. You want that to be on the front of your cover page. Because we want something like that we can cling to when all else fails. We need a failsafe. In this case, this is his failsafe. And he is not built enough around it to support it, so it is a singular pillar. And when it collapses, the whole foundation comes crumbling down. Which is why you need to actively go against that desire to only be this one thing, and to make yourself a well-rounded person. A Renaissance man, if you would, or woman. But you want to build yourself in a holistic way, so that if a pillar falls, you've got other pillars to support you. That's why he's weak, because he depends on his admittedly really strong technique of cloning, and not creating super weak clones, but creating clones that are like as weak as he is, or that are as strong as he is, really. It's really useful. But it's all he's got. So of course he's going to lose. And as a case in point, this is a perfect case in point, right? This is awesome. This is great. This is great unspoken storytelling. Here's my super technique, red. Oops, didn't work. Punch. I win. He wins not with a technique, but with his fist. Case in point, you don't need your techniques, or you shouldn't rely on your techniques. You need to have something if that fails. Immediately after we get to see that. That's great storytelling. It's incredible. That's awesome. Take notes. It's these little things. And it's also really funny and perfectly in character that just this big blast and this... wait, what? Whoopsies! Bonk. Does the trick. There you go. And we also, again, this Geto also showed this, right? Showing his close combat, showing his holistic abilities. He's creating these little creatures to give them a false sense of security. He sends a big one to, again, give them a further sense of security because, oh yeah, he's just using monsters. And then waits for them to come in close to show his real skill. It's having all these different skills. Not only allows you to work in case they fail, like they did with Gojo, but in Geto's case, they didn't fail, but it allows you to have more possibilities. And I think we all want more possibilities opened up. So this is how you do it, by building a holistic personality, a holistic skill set, and developing every part of yourself, having those multiple pillars, right? And that's really good. And now that I've gone through the whole episode, I can say confidently that there's no freaking way that was a full episode. God, I'm mad. I've literally skipped through the whole thing, and I swear to God this was half an episode. I don't know how they did it. Needless to say, I was invested, and I was interested, and I'm in love. And I'm almost upset I have to stop now. I am a little bit, but dang, I've got to wait till tomorrow to watch the next one. But I think that's the best feeling to have with a show like this, right? That's the best feeling you can have when watching something, is you can't wait till the next one. That's how you know they've got you. That's how they know they've got you. So I can't wait to the next one. I hope you can't wait as well. If you can't wait, make sure to subscribe so you don't have to wait. You can be notified as soon as it comes out. Do like it if you enjoy it. It really helps with the algorithm, and it shows me that you enjoyed it, so I really do appreciate that. If there's something within the episode that I skipped over, or I didn't mention, or I may have forgotten, or that you want to add, bring to my attention, please do leave it in the comments. Same thing with something I said that you agree or disagree with. Please do leave it in there. I would love to open discourse with you. But anyways, thank you so much again for watching, for taking the time out of your day to listen and watch this. And until the next one, have a lovely rest of your day.